Um, anyway, good morning. First of all, if you could like and subscribe to our channel, that would be great. We'd very much appreciate that, and we appreciate all you. To start off, basically I'm going to the older Superflow heads. I'm going to remove the valve guides. This is the step. Basically I top the shoulder completely off. These I actually drove them back a little bit already, but I'm going to top them down to the guide boss. I'm not gonna hit the guide boss hard, just touch it basically, and then I'm going to run the core drill through it to relieve the press fit, and then I'll take them over on the other side of the shop and knock them out. So here we go.
Okay.
Also, too, to point out, these are for 11/32 stem. So my shank is only 8 millimeters, so it's going to walk a little bit. No worries, just I'm going to hold on to the head. I normally don't clamp the head down in this procedure. It's not really needed. So if you want to, if you're doing it and want to secure the head, that's fine. But so here we go. That's one. Basically just touched it. The shoulder was already off, but yet. So okay, on to the next one.
All right. And what kind of guides are those, Jeff?
Silicon bronze valve guides, which are very expensive these days. Some of them are up to $10 each. When I first started this thing many years ago, they were only $1 each. Wow. So it's yeah, I try to if a set of heads comes in and the guides are still within reason, within tolerance, then I'll go ahead and just run them. I used to just pull all the guides out and replace them all, but that can get a little costly, and it's not really necessary if the still supports the valve really well. So anyway, here we go.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Anyway.
All right, and what kind of tool are we using, Jeff?
Anyway, this tool, very vintage. It is a Geenberg Enterprise, Orange, California. It's a guide topper. It actually tops the guide with the blade, and there's another tool that goes in it. It cuts for dual springs. I use a totally different one. So I use a Crower double fluted cutter to cut for duals. Anyway, this tops the and then of course there's the core drill. They sell the core drill as well. This is not this right here is not a Geenberg one, but anyway. So here we're gonna
Okay.
Now this, you have to be careful, because if the bit is not sharp enough, what it'll try to do is expand the brass out to the very thin boss, and it'll crack it. So you have to make sure this. It's sort of on the dull side right now, but if I take it easy, it'll be fine. It won't split anything. So just to warn you, these bosses, they're there for basically for the height reason, for to tell you how far to go to drive the guide in, basically. They really don't have any support. It's below this area is where all the support happens. So anyway, so if you do ever so slightly split it just a little bit, not to worry, it's not gonna affect anything. If it's a very slight little crack, that's okay. I try not to do that, only because to some people it looks like, oh, it's the end of the world, but it's not. So
Okay.
also, you see how it swedged it out a little bit. It actually raised up, and so what I'll do when all of them are done, I'll go back with the topper and just top it right back down to the aluminum again, because if you were to drive this out right now, there's a possibility that lip right there would catch and could possibly crack it out. Some people don't go to that extreme, they just want to get it done, and then it bites them in the ass. So
All right.
I'm gonna go on to this one.
Okay.
Also too, you're probably asking, how deep do I go? Well, I usually go down at least to the halfway point, you know, below this boss right here, in here.
Okay.
And then down at least another about 200 thousandths. So this is the critical area when you're pounding this out, not to break this. So
All right.
again, let's just get this done over here, and then okay, now we're going to go back and just top them real lightly. Okay, see there's no burr there or anything, and They should pop right through.
Okay.
This is the next step of removing the guides out of the Superflow heads, the vintage Superflow heads. Our number one goal is to not split any of the bosses. I'm usually pretty successful. There's always that chance that they could. They're down deep enough to where it shouldn't need any more core drilling, but don't force it. If it feels like you're just wailing on the driver to get it to come out, then you may have to go back and core drill them a little deeper. Here we go.
Okay.
Start with a light tap. See, they're coming. Zoom in.
Yes.
No crackage. Successful.
Nice.
We'll look inside the port. No crack on the guide boss inside the intake. No splitting going on. That's what you want. So if you just take your time, you can do it right. Again, no splitting. These guide bosses are countersunk, so this right here is not affected. It's the hole in there that where it's supported at.
Oh, okay.
That's because these bosses, a company called Remco years ago, they designed these, and they're called Remco Super Bosses. And after the head was wore out, you'd take them to them and you'd have the Super Bosses installed. It's a good idea. You know, this is actually a billet piece of aluminum versus cast. So here we go with the exhaust. This one's a little harder, but it'll make it. It's moving. So. Just make sure you support it nice and straight, and don't let it wander off or anything. Same, no splitting. These don't have guide boss anyway. They're counterbored like the intake.
Okay.
Always save them right here in an area where don't mix them up with any other guys, because you're going to have to measure those and make sure you get the proper size to go back into the hole. So,
oh, okay.
Being that these didn't practically fall out, they still have a really good press fit. You can put the same size back in that hole. So. Again, no splitting going on. Out successfully. And also, when I go to put the new guides back in, I'll run a chamfer on each one of the holes, because even that little bit of a burr right there, when I did the seats, how I put the counter bore, it's the same deal. Just take your time deburring those, and then set the new guide in, and very lightly pound the guides back into the head.
All right.
So no splitting, all good.
Excellent. Okay. Okay, Jeff. Now where are we at?
Anyway, restoring these superflow heads. If you remember, it had a big hole in the side of the intake port. If you come over here and take a look at that, right there.
Oh yes, I see that now.
Okay, we're going to, I'm going to work around it and prep it for welding. So I'm basically breaking off the crustation off the skin, and then to make it nice shiny aluminum so the weld will penetrate really well. And anyway, here we go.
Alrighty. Is that good? Uh-huh. Shiny.
Yeah, that should be good.
Okay.
And before welding, I usually go and wash them off, degrease them, and then that'll be the next segment.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
All right, now what do we have?
Again, a couple other areas that I forgot. It still has the actual crack right here where possibly somebody tried to weld it stone cold, you know, and this terrible weld right here. So I need to V that out. I need to grind that out. And it had a little JB weld over here. Just to let you know, JB weld and regular weld, like I'm doing, doesn't mix. It's a plastic, and you try to weld on top of that, and it makes it a mess. So hopefully there's nothing, no JB weld hiding down in those areas. We'll have to see when I get the rod flowing. Anyway, I'm gonna grind this out right now. Check it out. Big old hole. So.
Wow.
No worries.
Do you think you got all the JB weld out of there?
Yeah, there's one little, you can see that's a porosity hole right there. So let's see if I can make that disappear here.
Okay.
Should be good. We'll get it all cleaned up, throw it in the oven and weld.
Alrighty.